Hello everyone. This is just a quick commentary on South Africa. South Africa is self-destructing. Those protesting in South Africa, they have no sense of history. I'm going to show you a clip from the United States of America of white farmers crying because Donald Trump chased immigrants away. Those he called illegal immigrants out of the United States of America.
I grew up on this farm. This is the farm my parents came to when they emigrated here to the United States, and I've been here ever since. For 30 years, I've been hiring foreign-born people because there's not enough domestic people that want to come and work here. We've built an economy that relies on people, but we have a public policy that demonizes them. And to my way of thinking, that just doesn't make any sense. I think the changes that the administration and that Congress needs to make is to have some easier path to permanent resident status, so that they've got legal status to be in this country and to be doing the work, so that they can travel back and forth without worrying, both on our local roads but also back and forth to get back home. Can agriculture work without them? Absolutely, 100% no, it cannot.
Today, the South Africans are repeating the same thing. It is one thing to have a noble idea. It is another thing to also go about that noble idea in a noble way. If you have an idea, such as anti-immigration policy, for example, you don't want illegal immigrants in your country, you go about asking them to leave your country in a lawful manner. But this idea of using local militia, this vigilantism that South Africa is currently practicing, is going to hurt South Africa in the long run. Yes, in the interim, they are going to get immigrants out of their country, but in the long run, the damage is going to be very, very severe, and it's the economy of South Africa that will bleed. There is one thing that is very, very common when you talk about owners of companies, those who own the means of production. They gravitate towards cheap labor. They want cheap labor because it is not their desire to spend huge amount of money paying salary and not make enough profit at the end of the day. Now, the people that can afford you this cheap labor are immigrants, especially the illegal ones, who do menial jobs to put money in their pockets. They don't have the right to protest. Even when you abuse them or refuse to pay them salary, they have nobody to complain to. They can't go to union houses because they are not legal. You think the owners of companies don't like immigrants? They love them because they get cheap labor for them and they maximize that labor to make huge amount of profit. These immigrants, they pay tax. They use the local buses, the transportation network, they use them. People that have opened transport companies in South Africa, they did so because of the population. Now that the immigrants are not there, who are the people that will use those transport companies? And the companies are paying tax to South African government. Some of the owners of these companies, those who own this means of production, the natural tendency is that now that there is no labor in South Africa, they are going to move to neighboring countries in search of cheap labor. And if you examine the behavior of the South Africans who are protesting currently, those are not people that naturally are ready to do the type of menial jobs that immigrants are doing, which means so many companies are going to leave South Africa. This is Economics 101. Renowned economist in the person of Richard Wolff, he warned Donald Trump when Donald Trump started that nonsense, but he didn't listen. Shortly after the illegal immigrants stopped going to the farm, white farmers began complaining all over the United States of America because of shortage of labor. South Africa seems to have forgotten her history. Those protesting, they are going to suffer the consequence of what they are doing, because they are not ready to work, to do the jobs that immigrants are doing. But somehow they hate the fact that these immigrants are there. Sooner or later, they are going to discover that the immigrants, after all, are not their problem. They are not their problem. South Africa, if you ask me, will be recolonized again because of the behavior of these people. Other African countries are going to respond to South Africa, because if you have illegal immigrants in your country who came from another country, there is a way you go about it. You do it legally, not through vigilantism, where you organize local militias and then they move from house to house, terrorizing people, killing people. That is not how things are done. So that is all I have to say regarding South Africa. Those protesting, they need a sense of history and a little bit of economic lessons so that they will understand the pros and cons of what they are doing. It's one thing to have a noble idea, like I said. It's another to go about implementing that idea in a noble way. That is all I have for you on South Africa. Thank you very much, and I will see you again.